So we're really excited for Coach Gregory to be on campus.
They just couldn't get anything going.
TJ Mills with her speed, she broke someone's ankles during that game.
If things would have played out a little bit better against the lower half of the conference, they could have had a better seeding.
Not having high expectations for us, but we've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of people hungry, and that's big. Hello and welcome to the Beaver Dam. It's actually the second week of us getting to do this on camera, so Thank you for watching it. I'm Reid Mouse, joined along with my co-host, Tyler Avila. Ty, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, buddy. There's a lot of interesting things that happened over the weekend and last week in sport.
Yeah, and interesting. Well, let's start with the big news. Not only did Bluffton found a new president, but they also found a new women's soccer coach. Kevin Gregory is going to be coming into the fold. He starts very soon, just after spring break, which is next week. So he'll be here on campus in 2 weeks or so. He has 4 years of coaching experience in the NCAA. He also played Division III sports back in college, but he coached at Hendrix College. It's a D3 school all the way down in Arkansas. Conway, Arkansas, I think, is where it's at. And
he was the assistant coach. Yeah, he was the assistant coach for the men's at Hendrix for the 4 years he was there, and then 2 of those 4 years he was the women's assistant coach as well. Yeah,
so we've got a guy with a lot of experience. He's coming a long way. I think Hendrix is 12 hours away from here, so he's coming a long way just to be part of this, and that's a commitment. I mean, it's going to be his full-time job. He starts very soon, so I mean that's really exciting stuff.
Yeah, and I know from all the women's soccer players, they're very excited to have this guy come in and be their new head coach. From their interviews that they had with the candidates that applied, they really liked this guy, and he brought a lot of the same things that Rhonda had before she left. So they're really excited to get things rolling once he gets back.
So we're really excited for Coach Gregory to be on campus. Well, in the sports that is actually taking place, because soccer doesn't start till the fall, we actually had both the men and women compete this week in the conference tournament. Let's start with the women, who actually here on Tuesday, Tyler had the call of the game. They beat Mount St. Joseph in the hardest place to play in the HCAC, the Sommer Center, Copeland Court. And they played very well. They won 69-58. It was off to a slow start. They fell behind Mount St. Joseph, a team that by all means Bluffton should have beat, and they did. But they came out slow. It looked like, whoa, what's going on? But they found it, and they won the game.
Yeah, Bluffton actually had a 6-point deficit heading into halftime. And a key part of that is that Coach Shetler had 2 players start instead of Macy Shearer and Abigail O'Donnell.
They actually didn't play in the whole first quarter.
Yeah, the whole first quarter they didn't play. So that kind of threw off a lot of rhythm that this team had, and they just couldn't get anything going. And in that first half, Bluffton shot not well. They went 12 for 18 from the field, 2 for 8 from the three-point line. They only went to the foul line 6 times and only scored a total of 30 points.
Yeah, I mean, they went, like you said, 12 for 18 from the field in the first half. They ended up getting it off the Casey Rowell had 9 points. TJ Mills had 7 points in the first half. Well, Macy Shearer, or is that the whole game?
That's just the first half.
So, yeah, in that first half, we had some strong play from Casey Rowell. I know she really got the offense started when it was stagnating for a while. They get the ball down to her, and she got some things going. And then TJ Mills, with her speed, she broke someone's ankles during that game. I mean, I don't know if we can get the clip of it. I know TJ tweeted it out, but if we get the clip of that for that, oh my God.
That was insane.
It's painful. It's really painful. Well, yeah, that kind of got things going. You actually got to sit down with Coach Shetler this week. What did you guys talk about?
Well, so I talked to Shetler after the game, and he kind of said what we've been talking about. Like, it was an ugly win, if that's ever a thing. And I mean, he's like, a victory's a victory, but having Macy and Abby not out there in that first quarter really threw everything off, and then they finally made their adjustments, and then Macy went off. She had 17 points in the game, so he was kind of saying how after the break they kind of put their things back together and played their brand of basketball, and about how if they could continue how they played this past Saturday against Franklin on their senior day, and then Tuesday on against MSJ, they should be able to have a decent run in the tournament.
We, of course, know that they lost this past Saturday. That they traveled to Rose-Hulman to compete further into the next round of the conference tournament. They played Transylvania, and man, the offense just went absolutely stone cold. I think they had 8 points in one half. They did not score a single point in that entire second quarter. And that's really tough. They shot 9% from the field in that first quarter. 3 for 32. I think I saw people were 0 for Abby O'Donnell was 0 for 7. Some people were 0 for 5, 1 for 7. Just absolutely horrible.
Yeah, no one came to play on Saturday. 3 for 32, Reid. They shot 32 shots, but only made 3 of them. And those 3 buckets came in the first quarter because, like you said, nothing in the second. They went in the halftime down 24-8. They made their adjustments. They came back. They had a better second half, but just it wasn't enough.
Yeah, they didn't even get to the line in that entire first half, and that could get your offense going, is going to the line. I mean, they shot 32 shots and didn't go to the line once. They didn't get fouled one time. Of course, 2 of their shots were three-pointers, but they kind of found their rhythm in the second quarter, but it was just too much too late. They were down 24-8 at half, and they shot 43% from the field in the second half, but it was just way too much, way too late, and they just couldn't come back and end up losing the game. A really low-scoring affair, 57-42.
Yeah, their leading scorer was TJ Mills, who had 11 points, and then Casey finished with 8.
Yeah, so that marks the end of the season, and it was a good season.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think they had higher dreams, but there was, compared to previous years, there were some really, really good teams. I think Rose-Hulman, I don't know if they ended up winning the conference tournament, but Rose-Hulman was undefeated going into the conference tournament. Transylvania played very, very good basketball this entire year. And then Bluffton was right behind them. So being just behind those 2 powerhouses, it's pretty impressive. But unfortunately, it is kind of the end of an era, as both Casey Rao and all-time leading scorer Macy Shear is... They're done. Their 4 years is up. Macy Shear's the all-time leading scorer. I think she's 3rd all-time in rebounds, like one of the best, if not the best, Bluffton basketball player the women's team has ever seen. And then Casey Rao had a fantastic senior season. She was player of the week a couple of times. She averaged a double-double almost for an entire month, like just doing absolutely outlandish stuff when they needed her, because at some points this team really lacked offensively, and Casey Rao came up big there at the end of the season.
Yeah, and Casey, I believe, looking at the record book, she finished about 5th all-time in scoring for Bluffton as well. So Bluffton really needs to find someone or a couple people like that, either on the team now or in recruiting for the next couple of years, to help them solidify their offensive game.
Well, yeah, I think they already have a lot of good tools. I mean, we've seen people like Nora Heminger and Heidi Kredick. They're freshmen, and they're coming up, and they're really helping the team a lot here to start this season as a freshman. And now with 2 open spots, or 3, actually, Abby O'Donnell's also graduating. So they've got to fill 2 open spots and then 1 forward position, and they have it. I mean, I imagine Nora Heminger, who's got a lot of time, I could see the starting 5 going like TJ Mills, Brianna Graham, who's still coming back.
Yep.
Those 2 are still coming back. And then... filling it out with Nora Heminger, maybe Heidi Kredick, Chelsea Moore. A lot of different pieces can fill up this team, but it is the end of an era, because we've seen these 2, really Casey Rao, Abby O'Donnell, and Macy Shear come in the most successful time in Bluffton history, and we hope to keep that success going.
Yeah, because then this class have the highest winning percentage in Bluffton history.
They did. They won the conference tournament 2 years ago. So they weren't the only ones who played in the conference tournament. Men's basketball traveled to Hanover and lost 88-7. That's a wild game. So they lost to Hanover 88-78. That was the 3rd time they lost to Hanover this year. And we talked about how it was going to be an uphill battle. I mean, they're coming in at the 6th seed. They had 11-15 record, 8-10. And they're going to play one of 3 really, really good teams between Rose-Hulman, Hanover, Mount St. Joseph. They got Hanover. And they lost 3 times. Actually, Hanover was the only team out of those teams that they were unable to beat. They beat Rose-Hulman. They beat Mount St. Joseph. And I was talking about how every game it seems like they just play Hanover so closely.
Yeah.
They play Hanover very well. Well, Hanover came out firing. They had some great performances in that game. Justice Dowdy and Kevin Christie both had 20-plus points. It's the end of Kevin Christie's career, and he actually ended it where he started at Hanover. But he really made an impact here this season. I think he averaged over 17 points per game or right around there, and just had a fantastic season. And also Isaiah Taylor, who showed up at the end of the season, he had 14 points. And they've got a lot of things going for them in the future, but they exceeded everyone's expectations.
Oh, yeah. Bluffton came out this season ranked 2nd to last in the preseason polls, and they wanted to prove everybody wrong and say that we're not finishing at the bottom of the conference, and they didn't. They came out, had the 6th seed, finished 6th, I would assume, in the conference, and they had a tremendous year. A lot of their guys showed up, came out and played. Kevin Christie had a tremendous year, just as Dowdy. He had a career high on Saturday with 24 points. But the main thing that I saw in this game is that 2 of their offensive players did not show up. Andrew Hunter and Andrew Renner combined for a total of 9 points on Saturday. They shot a combined effort of 4 for 14 from the field and 1 for 4 from behind the three-point line. So Bluffton losing by 10 is not bad. That was a good game.
Bad. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, you never want to lose, obviously.
Right. But I'm saying if these 2 guys would have had a better,
it'd be a much closer game. I get what you're saying now.
If they had a better offensive outing instead of having a horrid offensive game, this thing could have been a lot closer, and Bluffton maybe could have pulled off with the upset.
So yeah, like we said, we kept saying that this team didn't have any high expectations at all, and making the conference tournament is definitely exceeding those expectations. I think they're picked ninth in the conference, but preseason they ended up coming in 6th. But it really came off the back of a bunch of their players, especially the senior Kevin Christie, who played a lot last year, but did not have the role that he had this year. And that's mainly because last year you had people like Austin Rohde and Jared Whitling got hurt this season, so Kevin Christie really had to pick up the slack, and he fell right in that role perfectly. And the thing I can say about this team that really I admire about is the fact that this team, when they played top dogs in the conference, they fought with them.
Yeah.
I mean, this team, one thing that you never want to do is play to your competition. But when you're playing a competition above you and you're fighting with them every time, that shows you how resilient this team can be. And if they wouldn't have lost some games that perhaps they shouldn't have lost, Manchester, Earlham, I mean, they probably could have. They would have played they could have got a 4 seed or a 5 seed and just fell right into this a better position in the conference, and maybe it got a little further instead of having to play Hanover in the first round.
Yeah. When we talked about it throughout the entire season, that it seemed like you said, when they played the top 3 in the conference, they played with them. And then when it came to the bottom half, they also played with them. But they didn't play well in that second half against the teams on the bottom part of the conference and ended up losing a couple of games. So, I don't know. I guess if things would have played out a little bit better against the lower half of the conference, they could have had a better seeding and maybe wound up playing on Saturday.
Well, I think no one's ashamed of the season that the men had this year. And also, another team that did not compete is indoor track and field. They did not compete over the weekend. They actually have one more indoor meet that's scheduled for March 9th, which I think is over.
It's during spring break.
Yep. They're going to Brigham Southern College in Brigham, Alabama to compete for nationals. They have a few Beavers compete, so good luck to them. But with both basketball teams being done, we're kind of transitioning into the next part of the season. We talked about in the fall when football gets done, you kind of transition into basketball. Well, now basketball's done, so we transition into the next sports. And I can't really speak on behalf of softball, but baseball's starting up, and we actually have our first game this Wednesday. We're going to Chillicothe. We're going to be playing Ohio Wesleyan, and of course I play on the baseball team. And we've got some serious roles that we're going to have to fill just looking at the team. We graduated the largest senior class in Bluffton history. A lot of good players like Luke Hickey, Jalen Sauson, Dyson Bowman. A lot of these players are going to be deeply missed, and we're going to have a young team this year. And we're going to really have to have some people step up. All eyes right now are on this pitching staff,
right.
I think. And it's because last year was probably the best pitching staff Bluffton's had in quite some time, if ever. I mean, they constantly were keeping games very low. Jalen Sauson had a very good season. Dyson Bowman, I think, at one point was leading all 3 divisions NCAA in strikeouts per 9 innings. Like, absolutely just a tremendous team. And losing players like that, it's very young. We're still going to have Brantley Canute come back. Dante DeAndrea, who had a minuscule ERA in the conference last year, he's going to play a big part. And then we've got a lot of young field. There's a lot of opening positions on the field. So Luke Hickey, Blake Fox, Clayton Siders, Austin Prosser, all in the field a lot. Also, all started pretty much every game last year. They graduated as well, so first base is open. Middle infield positions open. And now with Chase Lanez, who played third base last year, he's going to be moving to shortstop. He's got fantastic hands. He's a great baseball player, very athletic. So there's three spots really in the infield that are open, and then the outfield, there's just a lot of talent in that outfield fighting for 3 positions. Ryan Golden, who had a really good year last year, Colin Gregory, who's been a mainstay on the team these past few seasons, and then we've got a bunch of new players. Reid Rule can play a lot. Adam Duncan played a little bit last year, and then Jeff Arnett and Denny Zaley could be fighting for those positions as well, as long with the DH. And there's a bunch of freshmen that come up. Lenny Winiarski, he's actually from Cincinnati. Very, very talented player. Had a really good senior year in high school last year. He's a big kid. I don't know if you see him around campus, but a lot of people are talking about him. Jacob Lukowski is going to be playing a lot in the infield. So basically, Bluffton, similar to the men's basketball team, doesn't have very high expectations, but don't be surprised if they pull something out.
Right. Yet in baseball, you guys have a long season too.
40 games, yeah.
Yeah, 40 games is a lot. And you guys start this Wednesday, and then during spring break, you guys travel to Florida. So, who are the teams, and what are some expectations after you see what the result is on Wednesday, heading into that spring break week in Florida?
Well, this Wednesday game is really just it's not a scrimmage because it counts towards our record, but we're going to play it where we've got to see a lot of people because we're going to be playing 10 games in a week down in Florida. So we got to see, hey, we're going to see a lot of things happen, and just so we have an idea of what we've got. I think Coach even talked about every pitcher is just going to throw 1 inning, maybe 2, but we're going to be using a lot of pitchers, and I imagine the field will be the exact same way, moving in a lot of guys, moving them around, messing with the lineup a little bit, just seeing where we go. And then going to Florida, Coach says every year, Florida shouldn't be the highlight of our season.
Right.
But for a lot of people it is. Florida, it's beautiful down there. You're playing baseball every day. It's an awesome time. But really, Florida's just a stepping stone for the rest of the season because our conference got shook up. Normally we play 27 conference games. Now we're only playing 18.
Oh, wow.
So we're going from 3-game series to 2-game series against everyone, just playing double headers. So we've got a lot more out-of-conference games. So as to who we play for the season, I don't know a lot of these teams. We've never seen them. And going into the conference, some teams that, of course, Earlham won it last year, and then there's going to be some teams bringing back a lot of people. But like I said, no one's expecting. I think we were picked 9th or 8th in the conference this season, preseason poll, and that's exactly where I thought they would select us. People might be not having high expectations for us, but we've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of people hungry, and that's big.
Oh, yeah. Having those players who want to prove to everybody that where you picked us is wrong, but it's all right. It's a stepping stone, like you said. And to build off that, I'm ready to watch you guys play. It's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, I think if everything goes right, we'll get to call some. You'll get to call some games. Yeah. For the past few years, the WIT hasn't been able to call baseball games. It's kind of tight out of that press box, and then you don't want to sit outside. There's just wind blows. The wind always blows up here in Bluffton. It's like the Great Plains. So, yeah, hopefully the WIT can be at a lot of our ball games. But it should be an exciting season. I think if everything goes right as well, we could get Coach Grandy or some players in here next week or the week after spring break just so we can really talk about, hey, what went down? What are we looking at for the season? And the thing about Florida is also there's so much information that you learn about a team in just 1 week. You're like, oh, man, this dude's playing lights out right now. This dude can throw it. This dude can chuck it. Well, we'll have a lot more coming for you. I'm sorry, I have this thing when I talk about baseball where I just ramble and ramble and ramble.
Oh, it's fine. Well, the main thing though for Softball is they have a new head coach, so that's their thing basically to start the season is just how.
And they got that head coach this during the year.
Yeah. And so having the players get adjusted to the new head coach is going to be the main thing, I guess, for the first month or so of their season, just on how things shake out.
And this wraps up this edition of the Beaver Dam. We thank you for watching and listening. We encourage you to come back next week. Check out previous podcasts. Search and subscribe on iTunes or Google Play. The WIT 96.1 podcast at Bluffton University. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the Beaver Dam 96.1. For more stories and information, check out our website, blufftonwit.com, and subscribe. This has been Reid Mouse, joined along here with Tyler Avila and with our producer, Colin Steiner. We thank you for joining us here on the Beaver Dam on 96.1 The WIT.
Roll Beef.